Uh, what activity or activities did you pick to do, and what are you expecting from it? Why would you pick that? Whichever one comes to mind.
One that we did, we started with last week, or this past week, was at, I don't have my paper, but I give a line and they put it in their own words. And they really enjoyed that, took off, so then we made it into scenes. So I put them in groups of 4 or 5, depending on how many characters were in the scene, and they rewrote it, the whole scene, and we built it on top of each other. So we had each scene run through it in their own language, in modern day slang, as they called it. And I let them do whatever. Can we say this? Can we say that? As long as it was appropriate. Then yes, I said, rewrite it. So that was fun, and I filmed it. So that one kind of took off. It was supposed to just be one activity that wound up being a 2 or 3 day project.
And what are you talking about doing? Whatever next week.
We're going to do next week. We're going to do the filming with the host and the 3 characters and their points of view. And then I liked the activity where they write a journal entry a year later, but we're going to turn that into the texting, the Google app. So they're going to text each other a year later. And I'm going to let them choose which characters they want to be texting in between, which I think will be interesting to see which 2 characters they want to evolve a conversation. So that will be a lot of fun for them.
Yeah, that sounds like fun.
Yeah, I think they're going to really like that. And I'm interested, like I said, to see which characters and the conversation, instead of me saying it has to be these 2.
They also get to pick out music and stuff, so
Yeah, behind it.
They'll have a lot of fun with it. It's a fun little tool. I sort of didn't get it when Annabelle first showed it to me. She said, "Isn't this amazing?" I said, "So it sort of shows you a character name and it kind of types what they're saying." Okay.
Yeah.
And then when she wrote that,
Yeah.
I said, "Oh, of course, it can be
hook.
really fun."
Yeah. For this project, it was definitely the hook. That was excellent what you guys did, because that got them. Once they're hooked, they're easy to keep going with.
So what has surprised you so far about the whole Life is a Dream?
How interested they are in it. I mean, I was interested when you presented, but you never know how they're gonna, especially it being, so old and Spanish, and we haven't done a lot of plays, unfortunately. So I wasn't sure if they were gonna take to it, but they really did. They have a lot of opinions about it. I hear them talking about it. They're starting to have favorite characters. So I'm not even pushing this on them. They want to do the computer aspect, which I think is also a hook, getting them on that computer. So I am surprised how interested and engaging it's wind up being.
So, talk about that for a second, because I could imagine, as we sort of show this to people, it's like, yeah, but I'm not the drama teacher.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to the non-drama, someone
teacher?
who never
That's
produced
me.
a play?
I'm not a drama person at all. I enjoy going to plays. I learned stage direction with them. That method, I did that with them. And I think that was half the fun, because we did it together. So it's very user-friendly, if that makes sense in this term. You don't need to know a lot about drama and acting and all that, because it's there for you. So I'm probably the last person that knows about drama and acting, and we've had no problem. I've had no problem. It hasn't been a stumbling block at all.
Sounds like it's actually been
It's fun, yeah. It helps because it's new to me. Instead of me saying, okay, this is it, I said, okay, let's try it, and the method, the way you put it in there, we're able to making connections, which brought it into their level and allowed them to grasp something that they already know, and so it was easy.
How about the way talk about how, if you think it's tying into core, not just Common Core, but core. In other words, it's actually helping with stuff you have to do.
Absolutely, because it's in 5th grade at least, it's all reading and writing your opinion, your point of view, back it up. There's no right or wrong answers, it's how you feel and then tell me why. And that's basically what we're doing. What do you think of this character? Tell me why. What do you think this speech means? Tell me why. There is no right or wrong answer of what that speech means in there, that big speech that says Mundo does. They all have a different kind of interpretation of it, and they can tell me why. That's what, for my curriculum, that's what I'm focusing on. What's your opinion? What's your argument? Tell me why. And almost all of these activities are focused on that.
Yeah. So it's feeding into the core curriculum.
Absolutely.
And what about vocabulary? Talk about how it might
A
be
lot of new
affecting them.
vocabulary. Putting the hypergloss in the front was definitely an eye catch. How you said you didn't put it in back because no one ever looks in the back. That definitely caught their attention at being in front. They did comment that they had never heard that word, and I said, well, because it's brand new, the hypergloss. They said, Annabelle made it up. They found that very interesting. So they do use it, and they go back and forth in between it. The word, not the quiz, but where they use the word in the sentence on the computer, they really liked that. They did a nice job. I thought it was very challenging and clever how you wanted them to talk about the play. One of the words is advice. They could all think of a sentence to put advice in, but it was definitely challenging them to apply it to the play, and I could see that helped me see not only did they know advice, but in context, based on the play. So it's
well, and that's another big Common Core goal is referring to sources or referring to, give us an example from the text you're reading. I mean, it's fiction, and Common Core emphasizes nonfiction a lot, but I think a lot of the same mental processes should.
Yeah. And it was, I think it was a new sort of activity instead of just put the word in a sentence. Use it in a sentence. It just apply it to this play. They really responded well to that.
Yeah. And those animals are cute.
They did. And it was there. And what's this?
It's because we haven't been able to get all the technology we'd like to get going, so it can't remember like a specific kid. So we just thought, well, if we put an animal on each quiz, it's much easier for a kid to remember. Oh, I did the one with the monkey on it.
Yeah.
I did the one with the duck on it, or whatever it is. Not just a number, but.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
What did I ask you this yet? What has surprised you? Yeah, you did talk about that, right? Mm-hmm. So, I guess then, what about? Just talk about your experience with the visual radio play and.
It was my first experience, again, with a visual radio play, and I think it definitely...
I think that's because it's like the hypergloss animals made it up out of it.
I didn't realize you did that.
In fact, when I said, these are young kids for this text, and although you guys are more or less on reading level here, but in general in New Britain they're not.
Absolutely.
So I said, maybe we need a component that reads the script to them. And so it just started. We were just going to put the script and people's voies.
Yep.
And then Annabelle said, yeah, but they're going to tune out if that's all that they do. They have to keep them
something.
alive. And then,
I think it was a great way for them to get interested, because it is, scripts can be intimidating, especially we haven't done, even just the characters' names. I think hearing them, it may sound simple, but hearing those names allowed them to learn how to pronounce, to say them. So when they're reading and they're talking about it, I think they're more comfortable just saying the characters' names, because that's a stumbling block. And then if they don't know how to pronounce it, then they're not as able to speak up. And so we listened to it, I think, one time through ourselves. Then I had them listen to it just by themselves. And then I gave them the option one day in the computer lab, and almost all of them went back and listened again. And that was before they even opened the script. So they had really good background knowledge of what it was before they had to actually tackle the reading. So, and it was exciting to put it on the board and the music and everything, so it was definitely...
And tell me the story a little bit about how, because you guys are going to, at least 5th grade, you're really going to produce it to some level of
an actual
show.
Yes, that's the plan.
So how did that come about?
They want to do it. They said, "Are we gonna do this? Are we gonna? I want to be this one. I want to be that one. Are we gonna?" And that was not the end goal. That wasn't the mind and goal. But of course, if they want to do it, let's do it. If they're interested, if they want to put the work in to do it, then yep, we're gonna do it. So we're trying to feel out who's interested in what, because they're not all performers, and that's fine, because we need backstage people, we need scenery people, maybe costumes, so we're kind of feeling that out as we go.
And the classroom discussion of the sort of method and that's like the whole class gets to be the director.
Yes.
Helping them understand it.
Yeah.
So tell me about any evidence of like homeschool connections. Has this been good for that?
I do know that some of them did listen to it at home, the visual play. One of them came back and said, "Oh, this weekend I was listening and something had clicked about it." And then she said she went and told her parents about it, and they sat down and did it. Another student told me that their mother had read the script in college or high school. So that student was obviously reading it and talking about it with her parents. So there is some involvement at home with it.
Not a lost book yet, I hope?
No. They get lost shortly, but they all resurface. I'm not saying they're always there all the time, but not one isn't permanently lost yet.
That's good. That's
Yes.
good. Well, I think putting their names in the
Yeah,
I
that
think
helps.
They
It
really
helps.
like to
Yeah.
something they're a little more careful with
And
maybe than the average
We use it daily.
weekly reader.
So yeah, being we use it so much, it's on hand.
Yeah.
It's not kind of shoved away.
Okay, good.
All right.
Thanks.
Hope that helps.